No matter how hot she is, somebody somewhere is tired of her shit.
What you're listening to, what you're around, is also going to affect the way that you approach a new situation or a new project or a new area that you're trying to progress in.
Our customer base from off-road and from racing and doing that are a bunch of roughneck boys that like to play in the dirt. All right, we're back. Number 3. Even though Hannah's in a bad mood, I'm going to call her out first thing.
I ain't in a bad mood.
That's the first smile you've done all day.
Listen, I come in here with a good attitude, and I even bought this shirt to make them laugh. Can't see it. It says howdy on it because I thought it was funny. Can't see it. And they were both like doom and gloom in this room trying to get the podcast stuff to work, and it just pulled me down. We were talking about influence on the last podcast, and y'all influenced my attitude because I was good until I come in here to negativity.
We were trying to make it sound a little better because you get loud and pitchy when you get excited.
No, sorry.
And it won't work. So if anybody's a master at Adobe Audition, hit us up because we don't know.
Because David told me that I had a high-pitched, what did you say, redneck country? He said, you got that high-pitched redneck that comes out. And I was like, I do not.
Yeah. And the more focused or nervous you get, it's there.
I don't put nervous last time.
No, I'm just saying.
Maybe I was just more focused. I don't know. Either way, I'm not in a bad mood. You just brought my level down like 5 degrees.
Whatever, I just brought you up.
No, you didn't.
All right, so we got a couple of people had asked a couple questions, and we were just going to go over those today. One of them, both of them good questions, but one of them is something that we don't really talk a whole lot about.
Was one of them just a statement, like, word like this? Well, it doesn't matter.
I thought you was prepared.
Well, I thought they were all questions.
I said that.
You said 2 of them were questions.
Well, 2 people, but it's 3 questions, like 3 questions.
You said, well, 2 of them were questions, but all right, let's go.
Anyway, so one guy asked, how do we stay motivated? Because we're always doing all this stuff. And it's 100% nobody stays motivated.
I was about to say, there's no, we don't, you just keep going.
Yeah. It's really just dedication and just making your mind up that you're going to do it. Because motivation, I mean, we all get hyped up to do something, but like, oh, I'm about to do this, and then definitely before you're done, but usually before you get started, that's gone. And you just, I think we build up a personality where we're just not going to not do it. Like we've just done this so long that we've learned to just be persistent.
Yeah, keep going, trying to get it finished.
Just like right now. I was trying to quit and go home, but we got to do this.
You weren't trying to go home.
I was trying to go eat.
Yeah, the motivation does leave a lot because about every single day for a year, if not more, every day it was, let's just sell it, let's quit. This is too much. The stress, the frustration, the money, the people. But, I mean, you're not going to. I don't know if it's something that makes you feel better in the moment of just saying, I'm out.
Yeah, I think it's like the other day we was working on the house, and we start our day earlier than most people. So
every day.
Got up at like 4.
For
and
no reason.
I done put most of a day's work in for most people.
Oh.
Why are you looking at me like that?
No, I thought you meant.
You have to keep that look to yourself. I got up at 4, and I done put almost a full day work in by 9 o'clock. For most people, are barely getting started, and I am at a position where I can just go home at 9 if I want to and not do anything the rest of the day, and it does not matter. It doesn't really affect anything besides I haven't got progress on what I might have had done for the day. Business still runs, everything still happens, and it was one of those, I was just like, God, I'm so done. I looked at my phone, 9 o'clock, I was like, all right, I can quit. I don't do anything in about 6 more hours. So even though I could have quit, could have walked away, I was just like, I just got to keep going.
Well, and I think you want to keep a sense of like need, like what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like you want to keep a sense of like your life has meaning. I don't know. Like I don't want to just go home and sit on the couch. I want to keep going. I want to find things that is giving my life some kind of purpose where I'm progressing. Because if you just sit there, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just being dedicated. I think motivation is like when you first meet a girl and you want to date her because she's attractive. I mean, I didn't think you was attractive, but most girls, I think you think they're attractive, you want to date them. But you know that saying about good-looking girls? You know it?
I feel like you're about to let us know
I'm
whether
about
I
to tell
say it
you.
or not. So
Be
you
like, no matter how hot she is, somebody somewhere is tired of her shit. And that's like motivation. You get excited about it, but you're tired. It's like you get over it. And I think the dedication is more like a real relationship. Like the motivation, you get motivated. You're like, I think this girl's hot. I'm going to go talk to her. I'm going to date her. But the dedication is like, we got married, so it's better, worse, all the things that's included in that, and we just have to push through. And we stay married because we're dedicated. We don't stay married because we're motivated or have this new attraction. It don't stay.
Yeah, everybody's searching for that initial adrenaline rush of whatever's new or exciting because they like the way that feels, and for someone to want to be invested in you, or it gives you some kind of sense of. If you have an insecurity, I feel like everything that you search for when you're starting, it's like it's feeding some kind of maybe insecurity or area where it just makes you feel good about yourself. Like if you're starting something new, I don't know. It can give you some kind of sense of.
Yeah, because you're motivated because it's new and exciting, and then the real shit starts.
Yeah.
And the motivation goes away, but that's who succeeds, is who is committed to finishing it.
Yeah, like me. I'm committed to this marriage, and I carry the weight of it.
Barely.
In case y'all can't tell. Also, side note, neither one of us thought either was attractive when we first met or knew each other.
That's why I said that a while ago.
I know. But I just want to point out that I didn't think you were attractive either. It wasn't just one way.
Well, you were wrong. So
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So that's really motivation is not really. It's fleeting. You're not going to keep it around.
Yeah, it's not going to stay. And there have been so many times where he has come to me and been like, "Hey, let's start this," and I'm just like, "No." There's no, like, I'm literally putting my foot down, and we are not starting nothing else because we got a to-do list of about 50 things that are maybe halfway done, if that, not a third, and he just wants to keep adding stuff because that newness is exciting, but that wears off and
That's
it
right.
goes away. And then when it comes down to the hard, nitty-gritty stuff, you just want to be like, all right, where's the new thing? Where's the new one? Where are we starting else? Throw this in the trash.
Yeah, I got to keep it interesting. I get bored.
Well, I get bored too, but I also I want to get finished. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that weight or that, stress of thinking about having to finish something weighing on my mind and then thinking about starting something new.
Okay, we won't finish the house then. That's fine with me. All right, so.
I just said I want to finish.
Yeah, but you said you didn't really want to have to worry about it. You didn't want the weight of finishing, so we'll just stop.
I don't want the weight of not finishing it. I don't want it to be a consistent, lingering thing. I want it to be finished.
Right. All right. So that question was just about like how to stay motivated, and I think that really the answer to that is you've got to build a personality and the traits about yourself to just stay committed and show up every day, whether it sucks or not. And some people that takes a routine. That like I got to start my day this way every day, or it doesn't work. We're not really routine people so much because our routine is always different with the kid situation.
Well,
but we are like we get up and whatever our situation is for the day, when it's time to start. Once we start, we just go, and I think that we just kind of turn our day on. As soon as it's turned on, we just don't quit.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of this kind of reverts back to our previous podcast, in my opinion, whereas trying to stay motivated, like, who are you around? How are you talking to yourself? Like, what are people saying around you? Because what you're listening to, what you're around is also going to affect the way that you approach a new situation or a new project or a new area that you're trying to progress in. But you're going to progress a heck of a lot slower, if not at all, if you're not listening to people, whether it's a podcast or something that's motivating, and then having people in your corner so we can pick each other up almost as quickly as we can pull each other down. But for the most part, in our marriage, like, if he's down, it's much easier for me to be kind of the one that's gonna pull us out. And then when I'm having a hard day, he sees that and is very good at kind of taking that weight and then keeping us going and back up. So also in your marriage, if you have some, like having the spouse that can see where you're struggling and then be that person that holds it.
Well, so that into our number 2 question was, man, y'all starting businesses, stick with some shit, like that's what we're talking about. The same thing. It just kind of led into that other question was, motivated to start this business, and then they quit because it's not working. And the next thing you know, a few years later, they've started 6 businesses because they get hopped up. They start something that doesn't succeed immediately. I mean, most people don't even see a real profit return for 5 years. Mm-hmm. You always hear, oh, this happened to this person. They made a ton of money. But 90% of the people don't even make it 5 years. And the ones that do, that's when they start seeing a profit. So when you start this business, you got to just keep going. I mean, if it's something's crazy, like you're like, I'm going to start a lemonade stand, and then you realize, oh, well, I'm never really going to get rich doing that. I mean, I'd stop that. But if it's something that really has real progress and real world money can be made, you got to stay with it, because you're going to keep making more relationships, keep learning new things, keep learning new processes, figuring out the culture of that. Just like us, if Brush Monster shut down, we wouldn't go open a restaurant, because we don't know shit about a restaurant. But I do know, if we were just like, man, this went down, what are we going to do? Well, I already know people in metal. I know about metal. I know contacts to buy and sell stuff. We know how to make stuff. We have the equipment to make stuff. We just start back up. I mean, if we failed, we just start the same thing back up immediately, because overnight we've learned all the skills, we've learned all the failures, because we have an experience in it. So we could start a new business, fabrication business, overnight, and be 5 years ahead of if we tried to open a restaurant or something we didn't know about.
Yeah, and we also already have a customer base to kind of...
Even if we had to kind of spread that out some to a different fabrication product, we still, like, we've learned so much in this area. If we started a different direction, it would be a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think too, even having some, like I said, with our customers, you have connections, because a lot of those people too might be in an area, if you start something different, it would be harder, but you make it have someone that...
Yeah, well, that's the other thing that we were going to bring up too, that really works out as far as, we did off-road stuff, and we got into the brush cutter stuff, and our customer base from off-road and from racing and doing that are a bunch of roughneck boys that like to play in the dirt. So they had skid steers, and that customer base brought, our reputation in that brought that new Brush Monster product that we were doing to them. It was an easy transfer because they already knew who we were.
Yeah. We did have a friend that, when we were really still trying to push the off-road business, now this building and business came with Brush Monster, was already a thing, but it wasn't succeeding, wasn't making money, wasn't really...
It was losing money.
It was not doing well at all. And we were doing hydraulics. So we were selling maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 a month, if that, every couple of months. And one of our friends would come, and he called it his field trip days, because he worked from home, but would just come hang out with us and do his computer stuff while he was here. And he did say, you're making a mistake. You need to invest. Like, Brush Monster will be your main source of income if you invest it and market it right. And so that's when, I'm just saying, so eventually when we started going more into Brush Monster, he redesigned the whole deck to make it better, because we wanted the product we were selling to be the best and to be proud of what we were selling to people.
Well, no, we wanted to build Brush Monster, but when I'm back there welding every day, I don't have time to start something new, when what I was doing was barely keeping us afloat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When it came around to where we could,
where we finally could.
Yeah, where we finally could. I'm just saying, my point is, he said that because he could see that there was money in it, and we knew that there wasn't the availability where we could, but when it was come around to where we could, we put our best in it, so that what we were selling to people was something we were proud of. Like, it wasn't something we just said, oh, we're going to do this to try to make money. We wanted it to matter and to be proud of what we're doing.
Yeah, well, but So the we don't want to swap. You don't really want to re-swap your business around once you got it kind of established. That was what we just talked about. But when we swapped from off-road to Brush Monster, we kind of had acquired that, and we were doing them at the same time. But it all related. The same equipment built both things. The same shop, the same people, the same secretary, the same tax ID, all the things. It built the same thing. So we started. We had like 4 things going, and we started weeding things out we didn't want. And off-road and Brush Monster hung in there till the end. And the off-road stuff, 1% of custom off-road builders make real money. Like, there's people that make a living doing custom work in hot rods, motorcycles, whatever the thing is at the time. But like 1% make real money. The rest of them are just doing a whole lot of labor because the customer base don't usually want to pay for custom work. The people who make the real money in off-road are people who are doing production work. Like L&W, they do production work. You don't get them to make something custom because they're going to make more profit. They're going to have more things to sell. The customers are making the same thing or the workers are making the same thing over and over. So you speed all that process up, and that's where you leverage the most profit. And that's why we swapped to Brush Monster. Was we were going to have to start all that with off-road. We were already doing that with Brush Monster, so we just put the effort and the money into that. And it cost us, a few $100,000 to go from having like Chinese product, like cheap brush cutter, to what we have now. It was, we was broke for years just trying to bankroll having the parts, and we went from being able to order one Chinese part a day if we wanted to having to pre-order months out $50,000 of each individual part to make them as nice as they are now. So you can't even buy that part off the shelf. Nobody has it. They're all custom made to order.
Yeah. And too, so same, you can even tie that into the motivation because like you said, we spent so much money trying to make it better and grow that business and struggled financially for a long time. So it was hard to not want to just be like, this is crazy. But we just kept going. You just keep going. You just keep doing it. You keep investing. You keep moving. You keep working.
Well, we believed in it, and we understood that production work was where we were going to make money and where we were going to be able to get freedom. And when we designed something, it was going to be replicated. It's easier on the employees to not have a bunch of custom stuff. And I think it's spread out enough that they're not doing the exact same thing every day. Mm-hmm. Like nobody's doing one thing all day long. So they don't get bored.
Well, I think sometimes too, for me, I think it's almost like a relationship. Like we've been married and obviously have zero plans of not being married. But I can't even fathom having to think about starting dating again. Like starting completely back over. It's like a business. Like you think you're already invested, you're already going in it. And thinking about starting a whole new process in a new area sounds exhausting.
Well, keep that attitude up. You won't have to think about dating. You will be dating.
We about to fight.
Now, we could. So we could start something, and we are starting other things that's not metal related because we kind of have this set up with our new stuff we have going this year. By June, it's probably going to be a whole different business. So it'll take care of itself more. We'll still work at it and improve, but it's, I wouldn't say cruise control, but it's more like we got some wheels in motion that are going to be more consistent.
But we had to go through that process to get it that way, to make it where this was possible, where it wasn't as, like, it's, you know what I mean? It's not like we're halfway through Brush Monster and quit and then tried to start this.
Yeah, well, like the guy that asked me, he said, I'm building cages and all this stuff for razors, and I seen you quit and doing this. Like, could you kind of, why? Like, what was your thoughts? How did that work? So I kind of give him this rundown. But basically, if I was going to start an off-road business today and like really just be an off-road business manufacturing, nothing custom, I would find a product that was more in demand. Maybe not even do a razor, maybe do some other one that's not so consumed by every shop out there. And I would start building custom stuff. And I would start a niche. Like, say, if I did a Honda, whatever they
You're
are.
saying you would start custom stuff for non-custom products?
No, if I was going to start
'Cause you
a
said
new business, I would say like a Kawasaki. I wouldn't do a Razor or a Can-Am. I go like, all right, here's a Kawasaki. I'm going to start building cages for this. I'm going to start building bumpers for this. Something there's not that much stuff for yet.
Yeah.
So you build a reputation in that group of people, build really nice stuff, have it ready, production, good looking stuff, and then let that market kind of grow you and start moving into other things. And then as you can keep picking up new things that you're producing the same thing over and over, I would do zero custom work. Nothing, not even custom colors, powder coating, nothing. We're going to do assembly line stuff, and we're going to go straight for a finished product that we can sell multiple times. Design work is once, and we can tighten up the time that it takes to build it through the way we sequence everything and get it done a lot faster. So that if I was going to start an off-road business, that's how I do it today. And also knowing that if you have the ability to build really nice stuff, there is a customer base that wants to pay for really nice stuff. And being poor growing up, I didn't understand that somebody would actually pay 5 times what everybody else will pay if it's really nice and looks cool, because they are proud to have something really nice and looks cool.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's sometimes too, when you say people that do, like, say, off-road, they keep that customer base that doesn't want to pay as much. So they never really branch out into the other customer base that will pay. They kind of stay in that category, to where they're afraid. Because some people think if you raise your prices, they're going to lose their customer base. They're not going to make any more money. Like, they're going to go completely out of business. Yeah. But when we honestly raised the prices for our cutters because they were quality and worth what we were charging, that customer base that you really didn't want went away. And we started getting the customers that were quality customers.
Well, it's just, we used to sell a cutter. The cheapest one was like $4,200 at when we started. And honestly, when you're in the lower end of a market, or somebody's buying something that they're not really trying to make a living at and they just kind of want it, mm-hmm. that person usually, that's a lot of money to them. And it's like, hey, I'm entrusting you with this much money. It needs to be perfect. It needs to be more than what you say. I can barely afford this. I'm expecting the world from you for this product. And then we've had people call and be like, hey, I want the best cutter you have. Ship it here. My secretary will send you a check. They get it. Call me back. Be like, bro, I didn't even know it had. This is way better than I even knew you made. They didn't even look.
Yeah.
They just call and be like, what's the best one you got? Because mm-hmm. our reputation said we build good shit.
Yeah.
And when you're building cheap stuff, it's not bad that there's that customer base, because we've all been part of it. And it's you just do the best you can as you start moving up in life. But that customer base is harder to deal with because it is a lot of money for them. Mm-hmm. But people that's sending me 20 grand for a cutter, that 100 grand seems like a lot of money to them. They could care less about the cutter. They're like, oh, send it to me. That's fine.
Right.
But when 5,000 is all you have, and that's going to break you, spending 4,200 of it, that's life altering changes. So if we can only build, say we can only build 100 cutters a year, there's definitely someone that would buy 100 cheap cutters. Mm-hmm. But there's also somebody that would buy 100 expensive cutters that are built with quality, built with the best parts out there, that we can make more profit on than the cheap ones, and offer. The thing is, we're offering somebody a product that they can go use and make money with. It lasts longer, it runs better, it cuts faster, it processes better. We're selling them time mm-hmm. and money. Yeah. And when you sell the cheaper, lower end version, you're usually just selling something to get by.
Yeah.
So we don't feel bad to have something expensive, because we know the customers that understand what they're buying, it's a big deal for them.
Right. But yeah, it's been interesting, I would say, the last few years, as far as, because too, we got married so fast that we still had to go through the process in the beginning of really learning each other and the kids. They were 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, I got something I'll close us out with. But first, is there one thing you want to kind of drive home at this? Because I know we got started late, so we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
What's your number one advice for them to work on?
I gotta start thinking of these more before we do these podcasts.
No, it's about what we just talked about. Like, what was the main thing
I know, but
that you liked about the whole thing?
I mean, I guess really for me, the one where when somebody asked about staying motivated, because when I saw that question, I just thought, like, it's hard. And you see people on social media where it looks like they're just killing it. Their videos are just psyched up, and you're like, man, I want that. And you almost feel like you're failing because you don't have it. But the truth is, it is about the process and going through it, because you don't want to be someone on the sidelines that is just watching other people succeed or critiquing watching them succeed. It's going to matter when you're in the dirt doing it with them, to going through the muck, growing your personality and pushing through, even though it is hard, because you're going to come out the other end stronger, better, wiser. You're able to help somebody else when they're going through a hard situation. So the more that you can just keep pushing through, you're able to notice more, I think, when you see somebody else going through it. And you really can maybe even change their life in the direction they're going. Just that mentality. That was it for me.
Yeah.
Even going through it.
No.
I don't know.
So, well, what I want to close out with is, since this is probably going to be a pretty good bit of business owners looking at this, or people wanting to start businesses, guys, when you pick out a business name,
that's a good one.
good Lord. The people that send me stuff,
And your logos.
they just don't think about it. They don't think
Yeah.
about it. So, I mean, you're going to start a business and call it Leroy's Wooden Shovel Ditch Digging. Like, you get so specific in the name because you're like, I'm going to start a business. Hell yeah, they're going to know I dig ditches with this wooden shovel. And if you need a ditch dug with a shovel, I'm your man. And you're excited because you're motivated. So you come up with a name that says exactly what you do. And you make an LLC, and you make a bank account, and you get checks, and you get employees, and you get, then next thing you know, you're getting a contract with somebody, and that's your name in the contract. And then 10 years later, you're like, hey, I can clear half that forest over there for you with this excavator and bulldozer. I can build you a lake and a house pad and everything. You're like, says you dig ditches with wooden shovels, though. I mean, I don't know that you can really do this job. It just doesn't transfer well as you grow. And let's plan on growing. Let's not pick a name and that's all we're ever going to do. So if y'all are picking your name out, let's go, like, I'll just use Tyler as an example, because
Call Tyler out.
Yeah, because he picked a good name. It was lots of words. He had many words in the name. And he's like, I'm doing this and this and this, tree removal, this, all these things. And I was like, Tyler, this is what happens when you want to add something to it. You're going to change your whole name or take something off. You're going to change your name again, officially, like legally change it again. He's like, I didn't think about that. I thought, no, nobody really does, because they're just excited. And
Well, they're excited. They're just
started.
starting out, and they're trying to get all the customers they can. Like, they want you to know
What they do.
what I do,
Yeah.
because I want, and they'll put their phone numbers on the back of their T-shirts.
And you can
stuff.
have your Facebook say that you do that, because you can change that. But
Yeah.
your official legal name needs to be, his last name is Grant, and he was in the military, and they have companies like that. So which is Grant Co. It's his last name with company, like in the military. So it kind of fit his background and his last name. But that name he can use for, it doesn't mean
Yeah,
anything.
he can use it however he wants to.
Whatever he wants to do. And as he's building a reputation with that name, it can transfer to different levels as he progresses. And what really made me think about that originally was this old man used to come up here in his bright yellow F-250 and buy cutters and stuff like that. And I don't remember the letters, but it was 2 letters for his initials and then backhoe service. That was his name. This man had accounts with the railroad, all kinds of big companies clearing right of ways and stuff. He said he ain't had a backhoe in like 20 years. But that was
So
his
that was the
name,
name.
and he couldn't change it because he had contracts and stuff with that name. And so now it's misleading. First, you're trying to make a name that is leading, like I'm leading you to know what I do. And then at the end, now it's misleading, like, hey, can you dig this? I don't have a backhoe. You know, I mean, he had
I don't do this
excavators.
anymore, actually.
Yeah, he had excavators, but he didn't have a backhoe.
Yeah.
So then it becomes misleading. So,
Yeah, just if you're starting out, don't get caught up in trying to reach every customer base like frantic, thinking you're not going to make enough money quick enough.
yeah, well, I mean, so like
That's what it is.
Target is a grocery store. We don't, has nothing to do with a Target. I mean, if you said the name Target and you didn't reference the grocery store, you sound like you're going hunting.
It's the bullseye. It's the place to go. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to Target.
I'm not going to Target
they
either.
got
I'm
some
just
very
saying.
terrible bathroom
All the
rules
things,
and
all the
yeah,
things,
kids'
yeah.
clothes
I know.
and shit. We're not going there.
And overpriced, but that's not the point.
But I'm just, as a reference for that name doesn't mean anything compared to what it is, but yet you know what it is.
Right.
And then we go looking at logos. You get a logo and it's, if you know, if you had a skid steer and a backhoe and that's where you put all your equipment in this big old fancy logo that you can't scale down to put on a hat. You can't scale down to put on a shirt.
Something wild.
You can always, so to me, it's like you start out with the simplest logo you can, and you can always add to that. Like we got our brush monster. We could make a logo with the skid steer and stuff in it, or we can just use our wolf logo separately. And we're trying to make that brand known where you just see that logo like John Deere. You can see the deer. You can see the name, the way it, you can see the last name Deere, the way it's shaped, the oval around the deer. Any of that stuff, you know what it means separately also. Like Walt Disney, you can go from the whole word to just the letter D, and you still know that D, what that D stands for, because they marketed that so well.
Simple is better. People get real wild, real flamboyant, which teach their own. If that's how they want to brand their stuff, then fine. We are more simple, and most simple logos do better. You start getting wild.
It's visually better and it's more flexible.
Yeah.
We even try not to lock a color down. I mean, our brush monster colors are black and yellow, which we don't really care for yellow.
Well, they're only black and yellow because the original brush monsters were completely yellow with black lettering. We just flipped it around.
But we'll put different colors with it because we're not trying to stick to a certain color.
No. Now, our main color we always stick to is black. I mean, our
That's
house
right.
is black. Everybody's like, what y'all want? And I'm like, gray, black. All
It was
black.
easy to pick out colors.
Yeah, our house would. I mean, stuff for us pretty easy because luckily we like pretty much the same stuff. But if you're in business with somebody and y'all got two different viewpoints, I mean, that would be pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, so that was my little input. I was thinking about again. I talked about with somebody yesterday was structure your name simple. It can be meaningful to you, but simple. It doesn't have to lead them. You can always advertise leading them in the direction of what you're doing currently, and try to make your logo something that is transferable to apparel if you ever want to do it, or just something that you could print on top of your invoices that looks professional, but it's just, it's not this really overly done logo that you can't shrink down and still tell what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
All right, you got anything else?
Nope. See if you can put me in a better mood.
Well, I'm going to feed you, so we'll do that.
I like food.
All right, see you.
Out.